Sitaram, Salam Alaikum, Sasrikal, Shalom, and good morning. Welcome to another edition of Caribbean TV.
Thank you, Jamil. Welcome back. Before we get into our opening song this week, I just would like to indicate that our entertainment segment this week is going to be lessened because of trying to cover the subject of diabetes in under 15 minutes on this program. It was not divided into two segments so that people would not lose the flow. So we begin now with Anand Yankuran singing Nanda Baba.
Sending money to your loved ones in Guyana? First Global Money has been connecting families and making it easier, faster, and more convenient to touch the lives of family and friends in your beautiful Guyana. First Global Money makes it possible with over 60 payout locations in Guyana. Call 416-848-1857 for the closest agent location, or visit us online at firstglobalmoney.com. The best FX rates and fees. Send money now. First Global Money.
So you want delicious Caribbean Chinese food? Just come down to Twilight Restaurant, Toronto's largest Caribbean restaurant at 55 Nugget Avenue, Scarborough. All meat is halal, and we feature live entertainment Thursday to Saturday after 10 p.m. Daily lunch specials from $4.99 and dinner buffet Fridays 5:30 to 9:30. Our banquet services and catering for all occasions will make your event one to remember. You can always come back for more. 55 Nugget. Are you buying or selling a home or business? Then you need someone who knows the market and can negotiate persuasively for you. That person is Anton Jiva, broker at Remax Dynasty. Anton is an experienced real estate professional who can get you amazing results whether you are new to Canada or have lived here for a while. Contact Anton at 416-575-5055.
Here's our Caribbean song for this week.
Making love one day with a girl they call him Mimi. Making love one day with a girl they call him Mimi. I pick up Mimi by the railway. I would take a taxi straight to Claxton Bay. Who are lying on the carpet, he's like that in the T-bone. Honey, don't bite me, don't do that to me. You never had a man to ever do that to me. Ay, you darling, it may cause results. You're making me feel so weak. Stop, you do stop. Honey, don't bite me, don't do that.
CMP Meats, located at 2255 St. Clair Avenue West, is Toronto's best kept secret for top grade meats at the most competitive prices. Family-run business serving Ontario for over 40 years. All our meat is the highest grade certified halal, and we handle absolutely no pork. We also carry a global variety of sauces, marinades, and spices to unleash your culinary creativity, as well as canned goods, frozen meat, breads, and rice. It's well worth a trip from anywhere in Ontario to the home of top-grade halal meat at the best prices. CMP Meats, 2255 St. Clair Avenue West in Toronto, 416-604-8765.
For the finest Guyanese Chinese food with all meats halal, visit Starlight Family Restaurant at 1157 Ellesmere Road at the southeast corner of Ellesmere and Midland. Lunch specials from $4.99. For dining in a lovely ambience, visit Starlight or call us at 647-352-4994. For private bookings and all catering needs, our food is simply scrumptious, delicious, so come on down and enjoy some.
Ken's Jewelry invites you to their location at 1176 Morningside Avenue in the same plaza as Charlie's at Morningside and Shepherd. Mention this ad and get your jewelry cleaned for free. Ken's Jewelry, for the best in traditional West Indian and Canadian style jewelry.
Are you charged with a criminal offense, involved in a motor vehicle accident, or need a civil litigation lawyer? For effective representation by a competent lawyer of the highest integrity who is highly respected by the courts, phone Michael A. McKee at 416-928-6611. 416-928-6611.
It is now time for our weekly views and insights on As It Happens with Dr. Aleem A.K. Baksh.
One of the most insidious diseases known is diabetes mellitus. To try to cover the many ramifications of this important disease within 5 or 6 minutes is in itself a difficult task. But I shall attempt to do so today and hope that at the end we all come away with a clearer understanding of this condition. By way of history, diabetes was first accounted for about 1500 years before the Common Era, or before Christ, in an Egyptian manuscript. It mentioned 2 great emptying of the urine. The first described cases are believed to be of type 1 diabetes. Indian physicians around the same time identified the disease and classified it as madhumeha, or honey urine, noting the urine would attract ants. The term diabetes, or to pass through, was first used in 230 BC by the Greek Apollonius of Memphis. The disease was considered rare during the time of the Roman Empire, and the great physician Galen commented that he had only seen 2 such cases during his entire career. I will get into the types of diabetes, but type 1 and type 2 diabetes were identified as separate conditions for the first time by the Indian physicians Sushruta and Charuka in about 400 to 500 of the Common Era, with type 1 associated with youth and type 2 with being overweight. The term mellitus, or from honey, was added by a British physician, John Roll, in the late 1700s to separate the condition from diabetes insipidus, which is also associated with frequent urination. In terms of some numbers which might be of interest, as of 2013, an estimated 382 million people globally suffer from diabetes. The kind of diabetes referred to as type 2 accounts for about 90% of that number, with an equal incidence in men and women. Right now in Canada, there are about 3 million diabetics, and we can say there are many Canadians who are diabetics in the making with the current lifestyles. We have a generation of youngsters who play and socialize by computer in a digital world in which physical activity is not necessary. By the year 2035, there are 592 million people expected to be suffering from diabetes worldwide. Recently, Richard Bickstead, President and CEO of the Canadian Diabetic Association, referred to specific ethnocultural populations who have a higher incidence of diabetes. Peel Public Health, at around the same time as Dr. Bickstead released his findings, published a diabetes atlas tracking the disease in particular neighborhoods and reflecting that in Brampton, for example, people of South Asian and Caribbean backgrounds account for one of the highest rates of diabetes in the province of Ontario. Now for an overview of diabetes. Diabetes mellitus, or diabetes, is basically a group of metabolic diseases. It is characterized by high blood sugar, and this high blood sugar produces symptoms of thirst, frequent urination, increased hunger, and things of the like. Untreated diabetes can cause many complications. Some acute complications include diabetic ketoacidosis and non-ketotic hyposmolar coma. These are all complications of the improper breakdown of glucose, which is what sugar converts to as part of the metabolic process. Serious long-term complications include heart disease, kidney failure, and damage to the eyes, also to the nerves, the vascular organs, that kind of stuff. A large percentage of deaths in diabetes is due to coronary heart disease, caused usually by a hardening of the arteries or plaque in the arteries, conditions like atherosclerosis. Diabetes is due either to the pancreas not producing enough insulin or producing enough insulin but which is not absorbed properly by the cells. The insulin is produced by the beta cells in the islets of Langerhans in the pancreas, which is an endocrine gland, and then released into the blood. If you have a deficiency or a decreased efficiency in how it is utilized, it could account for high blood sugar. There are three main types of diabetes. Type 1 results from the body's failure to produce insulin. This form was previously referred to as insulin-dependent diabetes, or IDMM, or juvenile diabetes. Type 2, which I refer to as comprising a 90% incidence of diabetes, results from insulin resistance, a condition which, as I indicated, the cells fail to use the insulin properly, and sometimes also with an absolute insulin deficiency. This form was previously referred to as non-insulin dependent diabetes, NIDDM, or adult onset diabetes. The third type of diabetes is gestational diabetes, usually seen in pregnancy, and women who may have had a history of no prior diabetes could develop a high glucose level during pregnancy, which would usually subside after the pregnancy is complete. Gestational diabetes in many ways resembles type 2 adult onset diabetes in many respects. Although it may be transient for the duration of the pregnancy, untreated gestational diabetes can cause damage to the mother or the fetus. Risks to the baby include macrosomia, high birth weight, congenital cardiac or central nervous system anomalies, and the skeletal muscle malformation. Increased fetal insulin may inhibit fetal production and cause respiratory distress syndrome. Hyperbilirubinemia may result from red blood cell destruction. In severe cases, perinatal death may occur, most commonly as a result of poor placental perfusion due to vascular impairment. Labor induction may be indicated with decreased placental function, and a caesarean section may be performed if there is marked fetal distress or an increased risk of injury associated with a high birth rate or macrosomia, such as shoulder dystocia. Prevention and treatment often involve a healthy diet, physical exercise, not using tobacco, and being normal body weight. That is body weight in proportion to height and that kind of stuff. Blood pressure control and proper foot care are also important for people with the disease. Type 1 diabetes, juvenile diabetes, must be managed with insulin. Type 2 diabetes can be treated with medications with or without insulin, medications like metformin or glyburide, but metformin is the preferred drug because you don't have to be critical about balancing it with an intake of carbohydrates, as you have to do with glyburide, which if you don't, your blood sugar would drop to a level where you could go into fainting or what's called a hypoglycemic coma. Some of the medications which can lower blood sugar are therefore dangerous and should be taken under medical supervision and with careful attention to diet. Pancreas transplants are rare. They're done as a last resort in end-stage renal disease where kidney transplantation is required. There is a promising new set of diabetic drugs which should be released anytime now in Canada. And these pills work in an entirely different way, have fewer side effects, and they even promote weight loss. The names are a little difficult, but I will attempt to call them canagliflozin, dapagliflozin, empagliflozin. These new tablets are a welcome addition to some of the oral agents for treating diabetes. They are known as sodium glucose transport 2, SGL2 inhibitors. They use the kidney to excrete excess sugar. The kidney is the body's blood filter working like a pump to remove junk and return cleansed water back into the system. The kidney flushes out waste products into the urine while recapturing the good stuff, sugar, proteins, and other nutrients. These new pills, the SGLT inhibitors, block this reabsorption of sugar, resulting in a reduced amount of sugar in the bloodstream. And this is done by urinating the excess sugar. One of the critical things in diabetic management which can be done anywhere is frequent glucometer readings. That's a reading of a blood glucose meter, and it helps to keep blood sugar at a level that is acceptable by adjusting medication, whether oral agents or insulin. In the past, urine glucose tests were used, but they're unreliable and do not give an accurate reading of what the actual blood sugar is like, which is the level that one has to control critically in diabetes. Diabetics maintain frequent contact with their family doctors who treat the majority of diabetics. Recently, we have the advent in Ontario of nurses who could give telephone advice and some form of monitoring, especially in rural areas. That type of management usually works except in complicated cases or poor blood sugar control where an endocrinologist should be consulted. Family physicians should do random blood sugars, and it should be done at least twice yearly, as well as a hemoglobin A1C, which is called a glycated hemoglobin. What happens with that test is that the red blood cells contain hemoglobin, which carry oxygen to the cells. Excess sugar attaches to the hemoglobin by a process called glycation, and one could gauge from the level of that glycation how blood glucose control has been in the preceding 6 to 12 weeks. So in the end, no one set of pills or insulin can cure the diabetic epidemic, but good monitoring, good management by a family physician or an endocrinologist or a community nurse can be very helpful. Monitoring for organ damage should also be done, because it is known that diabetes left untreated or uncontrolled could cause kidney damage, eye damage, damage to the nerves, damage to the blood vessels, and it is important that organ damage monitoring be done. There is a group of drugs called the ACE inhibitors, which is often used adjunctively with oral diabetic agents in trying to control kidney damage. In terms of a summary then, it remains important that people have regular exercise. They go on an American Dietetic Association or Canadian Diabetes Association recommended diet, or a diet of about 2,000 calories. They avoid tobacco and they try to keep a normal body weight. Since this commentary cannot cover everything salient to diabetic diagnosis and management, I close with a caveat to see your family doctor regularly if you feel you have the disease or are already diagnosed with it. One final comment: your body needs sugar or glucose for energy. So whoever admonishes you that you're not allowed any sugar is really not your friend. Sugar in proportionate moderation can be used so long as your blood sugar levels do not spike outside of the normal range. This gets back to balancing your diet, not starving yourself of any food type, and trying to keep a balanced lifestyle. This is all that I could cover on the subject of diabetes today. I'm sure I have left out some important stuff, and I take responsibility for those omissions and recommend you to see a physician if you feel you need proper diabetic care. My name is Aleem Kader Baksh, calling it as it happens.
There are more questions than answers.
Dr. Aleem A.K. Baksh, a medical doctor specializing in public health and epidemiology, has served as Dean of the Caribbean Medical University and has also been a practicing Toronto lawyer and founding editor and publisher of the Caribbean Times. Is your desktop or laptop virused, slow, or needing repairs? Or do you need a new computer, mobile phone, or electronic accessories or service? Multitech Media is your one-stop shop for sales, top quality repairs and service at very reasonable prices. Phone Rubesh at 416-530-7772 extension 3 or visit our store Monday to Saturday from 10 a.m. to 9 p.m.
Well, folks, unfortunately, this week's program is coming to an end. But remember, life has its best and its worst. As famous Indian poet Rabindranath Tagore once said, faith is the bird that feels the light and sings when the dawn is still dark. From all here at Caribbean TV and myself, Jamil Norman, have yourselves a wonderful week.